23. Wow. This is the last Rock University training of the year. On behalf of everyone at Rock Title, just thank you. Thank you for supporting us throughout this year, supporting me, all of our trainings, all of our sales executives, all of our escrow officers. We love working with you and being able to service your escrows for you and your clients. At the bottom of our hearts, we really, really appreciate the partnership. And we look forward to working with all of you again in 2024. And if you're on the call and you haven't worked with Rock Title yet, one of our escrow officers or sales executives, please, please, please write us in on your next contract. Give us a shot. We've got a sales team that is very knowledgeable in strategies and marketing and branding. They're meeting with top agents and teams all the time, so pick their brain. And in January, I will release, not in January, in the next week or two, I'm going to be releasing the January schedule for trainings. A lot of really cool presentations and guest speakers that we are going to have on. There's one platform in particular that is kind of, ChatGPT, AI, Canva, Hootsuite, all of that all in one. And you set up certain criteria and it will automatically create posts, the designs, everything. You tell what color scheme you want, all that stuff. And it will create, design, and post for you on that schedule. So I'm very excited for that one. I think that was going to be January 11th. But like I said, I will get that sent out to everyone there. So without further ado, a big thank you to everyone. I commend you all for showing up. It's 12/13. We are deep into the holidays, so there's a lot going on, but you showed up to learn something new in your business, and today is no different. We have Brian Traichel on. He knows LinkedIn inside and out, especially for real estate professionals. So we're going to talk about prospecting today and how you can kind of leverage this platform. In my opinion, one of the most underutilized platforms that is available to us for our industry and just our business in general. So without further ado, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time for being with us today. And we look forward to learning something.
Great. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I see some familiar names and faces here on the Zoom from previous trainings, but Justin's 100% correct, and it is the most underutilized tool, I think, for business development, especially B2B, even B2C, depending on, what your scope of work is going to be, relocation, military, commercial, regular residential. But there's 950 million users on LinkedIn currently. So there's enough numbers for everybody to start networking and prospecting. But unfortunately, the big myth on LinkedIn is that one is to get a job, right? People use it to get a job. Well, as a realtor or mortgage loan officer, every new client you talk to is like interviewing for a new job, right? So you want to really bust that myth that it's not just for job seeking, it really is for B2B business networking. And sometimes the people you're working with are not your customer, they become a great referral partner for you. So it's really about setting up your verticals and how you are prospecting and your center of influence in using LinkedIn daily. And I highly stress daily because things come up on LinkedIn that you have to be timely. And if you miss it, it's usually too late. So you really want to create a daily habit on LinkedIn, even if it's just for 15 minutes a day. And I don't know everyone's familiarity with LinkedIn. I haven't had a chance to review all your profiles. The profile is a really strong component because if your profile isn't best representing you, you're not going to get those connection requests accepted, right? Or the opposite is if someone searches you online and the first thing they see is your LinkedIn profile, it doesn't truly represent you, or it shows your previous company, or your website link is broken, I'm going to have some doubts about listing my home with you, right? Especially if the things aren't consistent with the rest of your brand image. So don't discount the power of LinkedIn, even if it's not in your mix of business, because people are going to go there, 40% of the time, most likely young professionals, especially, are going to search you on LinkedIn. So it's like having an open house, but not cleaning the house before you show it. So make sure that you have a good curb appeal on your LinkedIn profile. You don't have to get crazy, but just have at least a good representation. So, that's the first step. But that's a whole separate training, is building out your profile. Today is really about prospecting and how to leverage the platform to grow your business, grow your referral partners, and get more opportunities. So we'll get into a couple things here first, which are some basics. And if I can share my screen, Justin, I should be able to, right? Yep.
Yeah, you should be
Okay.
able
And
to.
if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. All right. So we want to talk about your privacy settings first, because I think that's really important before you start playing around on the platform. And some of you, this may be redundant, but at the same time, it's a good refresher. And if you learn these privacy settings, believe it or not, this becomes a great opportunity for you to make calls to your network that are non-salesy. And those are the best ones to get, right? Not anybody fishing for opportunity or business, but just helping somebody out. So what we're going to do is you're going to go to the top right-hand corner. And can everyone see that, Justin? Okay, perfect. All right. You'll see your what I call your mini me. You're going to drop down and then click on settings and privacy. So mini me arrow, settings and privacy. And then you'll go to the left where it says visibility. You'll see that eye and visibility. There's really just three things I want you to look at or potentially change if you haven't done this before, is your profile viewing options, which is the first one. So we'll click on profile viewing options. You have three options. I always go to complete private mode. And the reason I do that is because I don't want to leave a digital trail on LinkedIn. So if you've never changed this before, every time you look at someone's profile, it says Justin viewed your profile, or Jeff views your profile, or John views your profile. So I don't want to be in a situation where I'm going to a listing appointment and 5 minutes while I'm sitting in the car before I go into the house, I go on their LinkedIn profile and do my research, because they're going to get notified. So you really want to not telegraph your plays in your research mode. So I suggest you put it on complete private mode. A lot of people are going to say, well, what's the downside, right? There's a pro and a con. The con is that you'll no longer see who's viewing your profile if you're not on premium. So some of you are like, well, I need to know who's looking at my profile. That's okay. As long as you go in the morning and you set to private mode and you browse all day, you can click it back to your name and headline. So the next morning you can see who's viewed your profile during the time that you got out of LinkedIn. So if you have to know, that's one hack around it, but it's better not to leave a trail on LinkedIn when you're doing your research, just in my opinion. Some of you, may not be concerned about that, but I don't like to leave anything to chance. So any questions on the profile viewing setting? Okay. The biggest, most important one is connection. So if you go down to number 4, you can see that my connections are off. So you want to turn that off. If yours is on, it means that anybody on LinkedIn can go onto your LinkedIn profile and siphon off your contacts and basically take your phone book of all of your relationships and start prospecting to your clients. So when your connections are exposed, I really feel it's a security issue for you and your book of business. So don't let your direct competitors go right to your LinkedIn and start scraping data. So you want to turn that off. Mine's already off. So connections exposed. And then the fourth, or the third one, I should say, is all the way down at the bottom, which is visibility of your LinkedIn activity. It says share profile updates with your network. You want to turn that off. What that means is if you decide to start making changes and you get inspired for the next couple of days and say, I want to get my LinkedIn really tidied up before the new year, everyone in your network is going to know because you're making these updates. So it could be simple things, but we don't want to telegraph anything that's not really news mentionable, right? So we would want to turn that off. This has nothing to do with social media. This is only updates to your profile. So if I say I played lacrosse in college, everyone in my network gets a notification saying Brian updated his profile to say he played lacrosse in college. So maybe it's a fun fact, but I don't think it's going to be impactful into the network, because every change I make will go pepper the community. So those are the three, and I'll just go back once again for all of you. Go back. But if you can learn these privacy settings and be able to teach someone else these privacy settings, it's literally going to be an opportunity for
Can
you
you do the first one
to
again? Which
to
one do we
work with
want to
some
click again,
clients.
Kareem?
We're just going back here, and then we'll get into the prospecting piece.
Can
So
you show us that
mini me,
first one again? Which one or do you click so that they don't see that you're viewing their profile?
yes, when you go to settings and profile, you'll go to visibility, and it's profile viewing options. It's the first one. You want to set it to private mode. All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing we're going to get into is networking. I mean, a lot of us are probably going to holiday parties or, we go to certain groups and we're constantly networking. I don't know if we're getting real cards anymore, but maybe a lot of digital cards. But either way, we spend a lot of time prospecting and networking in groups and events and things like that. But I always like to look at who's already in my network. There's a good possibility that you may have enough potential lead or prospects within your existing LinkedIn network, but you keep adding more people on the networking side. So, does anyone want to share their screen and we can do this exercise? Because mine's going to be a little different per se for the
I'll share
numbers.
my screen.
Okay. Um, and Justin, can Jeff share?
Want to give him permission.
It says disabled right now.
There we go.
So this is a very important exercise on how to really navigate your contacts on LinkedIn and start prospecting and getting your leads together. So this is where I call list building and filtering. And if we can make that just a little bit larger, Jeff, if that's possible.
Oh, the
If not,
screen.
that's correct.
Let me try putting it different screen, maybe. Is that bigger?
I don't see anything at the moment, but I'm sure it will come up.
Okay, let me change that.
But I'd like all of you to do this with Jeff at the same time so you can get a sense of how large your network actually is.
Um, oops.
And again, if there's any questions, just please put them in the chat. I see one thing in the chat. Okay. All right, looks like it's going. Okay, perfect. All right, so Jeff, you see where it says My Network at the very
Yeah,
top, right? So everybody go to My Network. And then on the left, you're going to see Connections. So click on Connections. So you have a pretty decent sized network, Jeff, which is great. But where everyone's going to look at, so Jeff, you have 3,476 connections. Okay. Now I want you to click Search with Filters. And then we're going to click All Filters right above that. Okay, now we're going to unclick the first, click the second, and then hit Show Results. These are all your second degree connections that you could get introductions to. And what's that number?
it's 466,000.
Right. So that technically tells me you don't really need to go to a lot of networking events if you just stayed on LinkedIn, right? Unless, of course, they're social clubs and things like that. But that's the size of Jeff's network with him having 3,000 plus connections in his network. He has the ability to reach over 400,000 people. Okay, that's a lot of leads. So how do we sort that down? We're going to go back to all filters. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to narrow down by location. So if you have a specific area, if it's not there, someone asked about the mobile app. I'm not a big fan of the mobile app because it's a really different platform. I know a lot of us try to get everything done on our phone, but if you're going to do prospecting, it's probably best to just do it on your laptop or desktop. Then from there, you can kind of monitor through your phone, but it is a different platform. So over to the right, it says locations. So if you don't see your location, you can add a specific location, Gilbert, Scottsdale, all Sedona, whatever areas you're focusing on, you can add those there. And it'll drop down and you can select from the list at the bottom. We have Phoenix, right? Okay. And so we'll just start with that. So out of those 400,000, we're going to see how many of them live in those locations. Down to 130.
At 138,000, yeah.
Okay, it's still a lot of leads, right? That's all local connections. Now we're going to filter again. So go to all filters. And we're going to scroll down. You see past company.
Yep.
Let's say for example you're focused on military, so add a company for past company and type in all 4 branches, including the Coast Guard. And then you just click on the icon and add a category. So this is your veteran search. There was something in the chat I didn't catch that question, so I apologize.
Coast Guard.
You should get the icons, but they're hidden. A lot of things on LinkedIn, you really have to look up and down. But maybe we can have you share your screen sharing in a minute. Okay, so now do we get all 4? You have the Air Force.
Space.
Yeah, just type in air, then it should come up. But it might be United States Air Force. Sometimes it's limited to. There's a lot of things on LinkedIn you can't really shortcut anything. There's okay. It's United States Air Force. So now hit show results. Okay, so how many veterans living in those areas?
4,100.
Okay, so we're going to pause right there. So this may not be your focus, but if it is your focus, what you would want to do is you'd have to start saving these lists because you're doing all this research, but you don't want to do it again, right? Once and done. So at the very top of your browser, Jeff, you're going to see a very, very long URL in your search browser. Right. If you copy that link and you put it in a Word document, email it to yourself, bookmark it, or put it in an Excel spreadsheet, that link represents the 4,000 veterans in those particular areas. So I could literally share that link with Justin and say, Justin, I know you focus on military. Here's a great lead list for you. So we'll stay on the military since we're getting it down. We started at 400,000 and we're down to 4,000. And then we're going to go back to all filters. Okay, now we're going to add your past school. So go down to schools or just school in general. So any school you've attended, whether it's high school, college, 2 colleges, and if it's not there, you can add the school. And we'll do this again, but this is the practice that you want to, and if it's not listed, which school is that? Sometimes not every high school is listed, so if it doesn't populate, then it's not on LinkedIn. So we'll just have to stay with ASU. Now let's hit show results. Okay, 5, is that 5 or 8?
643.
Okay, so now this is when we talk about prospecting, this is where we really get into it. Now we've gone from 400,000 to this amount, like, which I can't see. I need better readers. But the idea is that there's a lot of opportunities here, Jeff. If you were to just focus on this list for 2024, do you think someone here is moving or buying or selling?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And they're all ex-military and or Sun Devils, right? So we want to now go through this list maybe again and look by an industry that they're in, but it doesn't really matter in real estate. So what I would do is I would save this list and save this as your military ASU list.
Can we exclude realtors somehow?
You can't, but when you filter through, you'll have to do it manually. But 543 is not a lot to actually manually go through when you're looking at your leads, right? So let's have you save the long URL. Now we're going to go back to all filters. And we're going to remove the military. And now we're going to just do ASU.
So 29,000.
Right. So there's 29,000 people that you could connect to in the next year, just by saying, I'm looking to expand my ASU alumni network in Arizona, or just on LinkedIn, would like to connect. That's your connection request.
Cool.
And then one key tip is, if you're not on premium, you can really only send out 15 per day. So that's not a lot. So you really want to be daily. So you'd want to save this list, sort it again, and maybe even cross-reference it against the tax rolls and see who actually owns property off of this list. I can't do that through LinkedIn, but you would have a cleaner list, and then you would know specifically, who's working where and how long they've owned the home, and what the comps are. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, great. So out of this 28,000, we might want to start with a title, right? So who can buy a home right now in Arizona? Like, what kind of position would you say? I'm sure anybody can and qualify, but if you wanted to narrow it down, would you want to put a title at the bottom? So we'll start with the CEO at the bottom. It says title, if you go all the way down to the bottom, you'll see title under keywords. And then show results. Okay. So there are 1,000+ CEOs that went to Arizona State University living in your geographic farm area. So that's a different list. Now, you could go again and farm this by industry. Say, I like to work with tech companies. I like to work with tech executives. So we'll do all filters again. It's going to be different for everybody on the call based on your focus, but you can really dial it in. I call it Match.com for business, right? So you can find your perfect customer that you have industry experience with, or you speak their lingo, or you have familiarity, within that industry. So if you go up to the industry, you can see add industry, or you can have multiple industries. So go back up. The thing about LinkedIn is it's very tiny, so you have to really put your blinders on and start looking around. So do you have a particular client profile, Jeff, that you like to work with?
I try to do entrepreneurs, people who are retiring, kind of my target audience.
Okay. So industries that might be could be family-owned businesses. So you'll have to just take a stab at it and throw out a couple industries.
Got it. Let's see, industries, maybe
Let's just do tech
manufacturing.
for now, because tech's a popular one, right? Or manufacturing. They don't have general manufacturing. That one does. Okay.
Let's see. Um,
IT, try IT. That's IT services, which is fine.
can you maybe select all, Command A? No.
No, nothing on LinkedIn is going to make it easy. It has to be, everything is manual,
Okay.
But this is a very specific search. So we'll hit show results just to see if anyone just in those two industries show up. Okay. You had 114 just from those two. So that's a cleaner list. So you'd want to save that list for later, and then we'd start connecting with those individuals. But the key thing is, you have somebody in common with these individuals. You have a common connection. So before you do anything, look to see who your mutual connections are, and find out, first, do I know the mutual connection? And if you do, throw a call out there and say the following. Hi, Jeff. It's Brian Traichel. I was on LinkedIn. I was starting to get my research going for 2024, and I'm looking for CEOs in the tech industry. I saw you were connected to Jake, and I was curious how well you knew Jake. And that answer could be, I have no idea who Jake is, right? I just saw Jake last week. Jake and I were college roommates, right? Great. Do you think he'd be open to an introduction? Would you feel comfortable making an introduction, or could I reach out and use your name when I send my connection request? So I call these room temperature leads, right? They're not cold, they're not hot, but it's a warm intro if everything is working correctly. But we have to go and do our research, which takes time, right? Is there anybody on that list that's a mutual connection that you know really well?
Yeah, I was gonna say Tom Ferris and Kevin Harkey would be probably the two people I know the most.
Okay, so let's pick on any one of those. I'm going to stop right there for a minute. Is there any questions or comments? Because again, it's a very detailed process. It's simple but advanced. So you have to literally start, shaving down that large list. Was anybody shocked with the number of connections that they had on LinkedIn that they didn't know? Can't see
It's
it.
amazing. I wanted to ask, so basically that all filters is sort of you go back, hit all filters, and that's what keeps you drilling down or opening up a wider net.
That's correct, right? You can limit it to, very, very specific or just a larger net per se, and that's on the free version too. You don't even need premium to have that feature. So you're literally getting qualified leads based on your search criteria that now you just have to build it out. Okay. So thanks for sharing as well. So Tom, we can go back to Tom. All right. So now we're going to segue and we'll circle back, but the main thing is I want to get this flow going. But now we're what's called the profile review. So Jeff identified someone he's interested in speaking to. He found a mutual connection. He's going to see if he can get an introduction. So we go to Tom's profile. First thing I see, you see that blue 500 plus connections? Guess what Tom didn't do? He didn't change his privacy settings. So now you can go into all filters, Jeff, and go all the way into the bottom and go all the way to the bottom, and then put in a title, put in CEO, or in the title, actually, that's the first name. So the one below that, right? Thanks. And then hit show results. So I just went into Tom's address book and got a list of of all the CEOs that he knows. So how dangerous is not having your privacy settings set to private? Now, what we're going to do is a couple things. Is one, you might as well go through them and see if he can introduce you to any of these people, right? And then second, we want to put a call out to Tom and let him know his settings are not set to private and that you'd be happy to walk him through the privacy settings review, which everyone is an expert on right now by clicking on those three buttons, right? So how would you feel, Jeff, if I called you and said, Jeff, hi, Brian Traichel. Hey, it's been a while. I was doing a search on LinkedIn and I noticed your privacy connections were not set to private. And I wasn't sure if that was something by design or if you just hadn't checked your default settings. But as it stands right now, Jeff, you're actually opening yourself up to a lot of cybersecurity risks, and anyone of your competitors have access to your address book. Are you in front of a computer? Yes or no? Right.
Yeah.
No,
I
I'm not,
appreciate
Jeff.
that.
Oh, great. How about this? I'll set up a Zoom for us for tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. It'll probably take about literally 3 to 5 minutes, and I'll walk you through the process.
Okay.
So let's look at that, what just happened. What did I actually do?
You're providing value. You're setting up an appointment to meet.
That's the key thing. Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I'm leading with value, but I just booked an appointment. What's the number one hardest thing for anyone in sales? Getting an appointment. Getting in front of somebody. And we're not even getting in front of them under the guise of, hey, can I help you, sell real estate? No, we're actually helping someone out and we're back on their radar. And now they might ask you, how's business going, and have, some small talk. But the point is, if you can just walk someone through those connections, expose, I guarantee you they will call you back in 3 to 5 minutes. Like it almost, and I'm not even being manipulative. It's like it's the truth. I really am trying to let them know that they are at risk. But the second point is, you get someone to return your phone calls. So, and it sounds like I noticed a few things on your profile I want to bring to your attention. What's wrong with my profile? Well, nothing's wrong with it, but I want to advise you on your privacy settings. Or let's click on Jeff's contact info. So let's go back. I mean, not Jeff, sorry, Tom's. Let's go back. I think you're doing someone a favor by letting them know, right? So look at his contact info. To the right, you had it. It's in blue, right? Okay, the next thing you want to do is you want to click on everybody's website and see if they're working. So I don't know if that's his current company, if that's what he does,
Yeah, it's out
whatnot,
of
but
date and everything. It's something he did like 4 or 6 years ago.
right. So back to my point, right? Do you want someone to see an old website from 5 or 6 years ago when you probably have this new stellar website, but you never got around to putting it on LinkedIn, right? Now, if you can do me a favor and do a Google search on Tom, please. Just open up a new tab. And what shows up front and center?
Third down
Number
is
three.
the LinkedIn profile.
Right. And that's where people are usually going to go first before they do the rest of their research. So we'll back out. And thanks, Jeff, for leading today, because it's a lot easier when we have the participation versus my profile's a little bit different on the analytics. So we have a couple reasons to reach out to Tom. And now the last question is, when's the last time you spoke to Tom?
It's probably been 4 months.
Perfect. So what a great opportunity to reach out and say, how's it going? I noticed this, I did a webinar, this and that and the other, right? But for those of you who want to get back on people's radar, real subtle, I have what's called the endorsement game. So if you notice, if you go down through Tom's profile, you're going to see a skills section, right? And all I do is I click that endorse button. And now what just happened, Tom is literally sitting at his desk right now. He's going to get a message saying, Jeff just endorsed you for I can't read what that is, but you only want to do one at a time because most people have
Public
50
policy.
skills. So if Tom is a hot prospect for you and you know he's going to be listing or buying in the next 3 to 6 months, next Monday, go back to his profile and endorse him for the second skill. And then the third week, they have 50 skills. I can drip on you for 50 weeks for free. And what does that do? It just keeps me visible and top of mind.
So you're
And
saying by doing it once a week, do you have to do it every 7 days, or will every time you do it?
it's whenever it's in your rotation, but you have to dedicate in your business development plan once a week for endorsements for everyone in your circle of influence. It may only take you 20 minutes, but the effect of that, high return on investment. If I don't feel like making calls, I'll endorse 50 people today, and guess what? I'll get a call. Remember, Facebook used to have that poke feature? This is the same equivalent as poking somebody on LinkedIn saying, hey, and by the way, I'm saying something nice about you. So even if I dripped on Jeff for the next 50 weeks or the next 30 weeks, I can't see him calling me up and saying, Brian, I don't appreciate you saying nice things about me every single week that I'm good at something. And if Jeff was fired up about it and said, please stop endorsing me, I would say, well, great, Jeff, at least I got your attention. I've been meaning to get you on the phone. Can we talk? Right. And yes, I'll stop endorsing you if you don't like it. So either way, you're getting someone's attention. And you have these people in your network that you haven't spoken to, maybe don't even know, where you can at least warm it up by endorsing someone and saying, hey, you're good at this. You're not on the vine here because recommendations are recommendations. Endorsements don't carry a lot of weight, but from a marketing perspective, it gets people's attention. Now, Justin probably has seen this, and some of you have seen this, but I could endorse Justin And Justin may fall into the trap because there's a button that says, "Thanks for endorsing me, Brian, for sales." Has anyone seen that or received that "thanks for endorsing me" message? And then what happens after I hit that pretty much automatic computer generated response? Nothing, right? This is your opportunity. If someone says, "Thanks for endorsing me for real estate," you don't want to say, "You're welcome," or this, say, "My pleasure. How are things going?" And Justin's sitting there going, "Well, I really wasn't expecting to get into a conversation with Brian. I just wanted to thank him for the endorsement." So you can literally go, "Sure, my pleasure. Are there any other skills you'd like to be endorsed for?" Question mark. So the power of the question mark in LinkedIn communication is what changes the game versus the period. Because if Jeff says, "Thanks for endorsing me, Brian," that's the end of it. And again, you may have received those, you may have not. Okay. Any questions so far? Because my goal, if you've worked with me before, is I do fire hose because I really want to pack in as much as possible, because I know you can always go back and watch the video. But these are the things that I do daily. One is we have to know our list, right? Who are we targeting? Cross-reference that list to see what the probability of buying or selling is going to be. Third is your daily activity. So we're going to get into daily activity. And of course, there's the profile review. Are there connections exposed? Is that an opportunity for me to reach out? So the thing I do every morning is I go to notifications. So at the very top in your dashboard, you'll see that bell, which is your notifications. Now, there's only 3 things I actually care about in these notifications, and those are birthdays, job changes, and work anniversaries. These are free calls that you can make daily that were not on your call sheet. So the problem with notifications is that you have to treat it like an inbox. So you see all this excess noise and distractions, right? But you really want to clean it up so you're only seeing birthdays, job changes, and work anniversaries. So in order to clean up the noise, I can't see the first one answered. So the first one, you see the 3 dots to the right, Jeff? They're tiny little dots.
You go where exactly?
Right there, right in the middle. You see those 3 dots?
Yeah.
You have 2 options. Turn off the notification completely, it means I don't want to see this anymore, or just delete that individual notification. So let's just hit delete for now. But what we want to do is we want to have this so cleaned out. So one of your homework would be, if you were working with me, would be starting, next week, is you only want to see what's fresh and what's coming in real time, because otherwise you're going to miss an opportunity. So do you see a birthday or a work anniversary? And the thing is, because there's so much notifications, those will get lost in the shuffle, but eventually when it's clean, that's all you'll see. All right, so let's I'll share my screen, Jeff, just for the sake of time, because we'll just
Cool.
Yep. Okay, let's go here. And again, if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat, and just if you can see if there's anything there, that'd be great. Okay, so here are my notifications, and I like to walk the talk here, right? So let's see what mine actually look like, right? So this is what my notifications look like. That's it. And a couple of them I left there because I want to follow up. A couple of things you want to look for is how many search appearances am I showing up in each week. That's going to tell you if your profile is performing. A separate conversation, but it's a good analytic to find out, are you even being found on LinkedIn? So I've shown up in 627 searches already this week, right? Based on my keywords. Then I have a couple followers here, perhaps on the call, and I'll show you what happened for that too. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this one. So first one, there's a work anniversary. There are 7 birthdays here. Some more birthdays. Amy Hollister, our friend over at Rock here. I could wish her all happy birthday. But let's just go into the birthday exercise. So every day I'll click on see who's celebrating. I'm looking for two things, people I know and people I don't know, which I'll have to circle back with on our first degree connections because we just did second degree. Here's my friend Anthony. I can click say happy birthday, right? And that's all it says. If I hit send, Anthony's probably getting 300 happy birthday exclamation marks. And what happens when you do that is you blow up someone's inbox and they lose the important information of things they were trying to follow up with or, return messages. So there's two factors in the birthday message. There's don't send the generic, number one, right? First name, Anthony. It's been a while. I hope you are doing well. And of course, happy birthday. Now here's the kicker. I could just put happy birthday, Brian, but I haven't talked to Anthony in a while, so I'd like to actually engage with him. And so I'll end with this. Any big plans for your birthday? BT. I asked the question, and in his inbox, this is going to stand out a lot more than just happy birthday exclamation mark, right? And I'm being genuine because I really do want to reach out to Anthony. If I didn't want to engage with Anthony and have get back on his radar, I would have deleted this. That's the difference. That what I'm doing is engaging or non-engage. So engage, I ask a question. When I don't engage, I send a personal message, end it with a period. It means, and I can see Deanna here. It means I want to say hello to Deanna and wish her happy birthday, but I don't want to get roped into a long conversation because she's not my target market or she's in a different network or something like that. But I still want to acknowledge her birthday, right? So I'll hit send. Okay. The next one is let's go with Melody, right? So I have how many did I have? 7 here, right? I don't know Melody. I'm obviously not going to wish her a happy birthday. Some of you might, right? But I don't feel comfortable wishing someone a happy birthday that I don't know. So I have to do now what's called my profile review. So we'll click on the profile. And from our first module, anyone see anything, an opportunity? Right?
Yeah, over 500 reach out.
Right. Connections exposed are in blue. And she's in what industry? She's in the travel industry. Okay. So if I was a travel agent, she just gave me access to her entire database. So I don't want that to happen to her. So I look at the contact info and it tells you when you connected. So on November 1st, 2013, either myself or Melody thought it was a good idea for us to connect. I can't remember who it was, but nonetheless, we're connected. So that's what you want to anchor as your phone call to a stranger, but someone that's in your network. And here's the script. And they're not script, I call them transparent scripts. My scripts actually answer one thing is how did I arrive at this phone call? That's how my methodology is in scripting the message. So the first thing is contact info. There's no phone number. So I'd have to message her on LinkedIn. And I say, hi Melody. I saw you. I'm not going to type it out just for sake of time. But I would send her a message and say, hi Melody, I was on LinkedIn today. I saw that you had a birthday. Happy birthday, comma. We actually connected in December or November of 2013, and I can't remember who reached out to who, but I happened to notice on your profile that your connections were exposed, and I'm not sure if that's a concern for you in the travel industry. I didn't see a phone number on your contact info and wanted to walk you through the process. What's the best number to reach you at? Would anybody be offended if that was a conversation I had with you?
No.
No. And I'm genuinely reaching out. I mean, I'm not going to reach out to every single person that has their connections exposed, but if there's an industry or there's mutual connections, I mean, we have 92 mutual connections here. So, I think as a colleague on LinkedIn, I will send her that message if to pursue and let her know this is happening. Not selling real estate, I'm not selling anything. I'm just bringing it to her attention. But the point is, circling back, I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I didn't check my daily notifications. Melody was not on my call list today. It was just someone in my LinkedIn connection network that's been sitting there since 2013. Never talked, never communicated. So we'll go back to notifications. We'll go back to birthdays. And so on and so forth. So every day you have new lead opportunities. So today I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that were not on my radar until this morning. And you can see I already sent Heather a message, right? And I'll look at Nicholas. There's the generic. I'm not going to do that. Click on his profile. See the trend. 500 plus connections exposed. He's in the financial services industry. He's a fellow veteran, or perhaps fellow veteran. I have to dig further into that, but I'll look at the contact info. We connected May 1st, 2019. So I might reach out, but if I don't have time, I'll just click on his link right there, and I'll just send myself an email and follow up later. But I'll just start sorting and crunching my data.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
Angel has a quick question. What would be another example that you'd use if it wasn't the contact exposure call or weigh in? What would be maybe another conversation you'd have?
Oh, well, there's a lot. There's a website the link is broken. The website links to your previous company, right, from 5 years ago, or there's a misspelling in your headline, some type of error on the profile, which it does happen, right? We do make typos, but sometimes I've seen people type realtor wrong, and I've literally had to bring it to their attention. I'm like, I can't let you sit on LinkedIn not having word realtor spelled correctly, or things like that. So, if you look at their profile, this actually is one of my set. I can't remember who asked the question. Do they have a person in mind that they'd like to look up?
Angel, you got yourself in the hot seat. Or what about like common schools that you've gone to, or hobbies, or anything that's listed? Would that be another conversation starter that you'd use?
Yeah, exactly, and that's where I want to get into the profile review. So,
Gotcha.
and I don't want to pull anybody up, but I would have to. Let's just pull up.
Hello.
I just need we'll look at Nicholas Wallace, for example.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So when I do the birthdays, job changes, work anniversaries, I look for two things. Do I know them? When's the last time I spoke with them? Right? Do I want to engage or not engage? Second is, if I don't know them, when do we connect? Is there any reason I can find to reach out to them and start a conversation? So to answer the question, I go all the way down to the bottom and I look at the groups, companies, and top voices. So I'll show all top voices. So he had to actually go on LinkedIn and follow these individuals. They don't just populate your profile. So if you have an influencer that you like, you're a fan of somebody, they literally go to that person's profile and follow them. So we have Sarah Blakely, Brene Brown, Simon Sinek, Mark Cuban, Tim Tebow, Richard Branson, Jessica Alba, Bill Gates. Does that tell you anything about his personality? A lot, in my opinion. I could just anchor in the fact that I saw, Justin, that you're following Brene Brown. Have you read her recent book? What's your favorite? Oh, I'm a big fan of leadership. Did you see Simon's TED Talk about such and such? I can literally anchor anything about these individuals into my conversation. And these days, nobody's stalking, right? Let's put that in air quotes. We're researching people because I want to make sure I'm informed so I don't get stuck when I'm in front of a client, because it's very embarrassing if people don't do their homework. Because they're going to say, "Didn't you research me? Didn't you do your homework?" Nothing. So there's the days of like looking and looking at people's profiles. It's common knowledge on LinkedIn because that's what the platform is based upon. So definitely do your due diligence. So we figured out he's an entrepreneur. He likes leadership. He's very on the forefront of some of these thought leaders. So now we're going to look at companies. He's following the Army, Boeing, Nike, County of San Diego. So the thing about this is that, what did we just find out about Nicholas just right now? I'll answer the question. He's a Padres fan and a Clippers fan. Unless he's working for them or worked for them in the past, my gut says he likes these two teams. So I saw on your profile that you're a Padres fans. By the way, we have season tickets. So would you ever be interested in going to a game sometime? Or no, I just happen to follow the Padres. But what's the worst case scenario, right? And we know he likes baseball and basketball. So if I'm in your position and I'm doing a listing presentation, I have three key components here. I can now use analogies, military related, in my presentation, or I can use basketball or baseball analogies. So if the inspection comes in correctly and the estimator does this, we're going to hit a home run with this property. It doesn't matter if there's a problem with the escrow. Hey, we're in the bottom of the ninth right now. Blah blah blah. But that's what I'm saying. That when you're quick on your feet with LinkedIn, you can start adapting information customized to the individual, not your blanket generic template. Which is nothing wrong with blanket generic templates, because we have to start with something. But I'm talking about changing your presentation based on the customer's buying habits and personality. And the great thing about it is I'm not being manipulative. I'm being transparent because I asked for confirmation. So Jeff, before we met today, of course, as a professional, I like to do my due diligence. So I look everyone up on LinkedIn. What I noticed about your profile is that you're following some really interesting people. And by the way, do you happen to be a Padres fan? So I'm not using anything underhandedly to, manipulate this individual. I'm getting direct confirmation. So we're going to go to groups. So these are groups he's a member of that you could be a member of. So you want to look at how many groups you're in and start networking. But once in a while, you're going to find something that doesn't make sense, right? So it could be literacy. He's a military veteran. He was in the Coast Guard, Arizona State, here, an alumni. But every so often, you're going to see, CPA member group, CPA group, CPA group, cigar and whiskey group. Right? It's going to be like business, business, business. All of a sudden, say horseback riding professionals of LinkedIn on LinkedIn. So now you're going to know that that's a personal interest versus a professional interest just by looking and doing the profile review. And I can't believe, Justin, how quick the time has already gone.
It's a lot of good information. Any questions, you guys, at this stage for Brian? We've literally have the expert on the call. So any tips or
Yes.
tricks that you guys want to know?
Can we hire him to help us?
Good question.
Yeah, definitely a good question. I'm always available to do either group trainings. People want to get together. I'd be happy to work with you individually, one-on-one. I help with profiles. So yes, I have all different types of
So
opportunities to work with
will you put on the screen how to get a hold of you?
Yes, I put it in the chat. I can put it again, but I do want to know. I want to show everyone when you connect with somebody and they only give you the option to follow. We're not going to be connected. You have to click the more button. So let me do that, Sherry, and show you real quick. I know we're going to run out of time in a second. I apologize, but this is an important component of LinkedIn because you're not actually connected to the person.
While you do that, hey, Susan and everybody else, yes, this is recorded and this will be on the Rock University platform or YouTube channel within 24 hours. So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure to go to rockuniversity.com and subscribe. And I'll just throw our YouTube channel URL in the chat box for you guys, but it'll be up by tomorrow morning.
Great. So if you land on my profile, you're going to see a follow button, right? But you're not going to be able to connect with me. You have to click the more button. The more button will drop down and allow you to connect with me. Because if you just follow me, I can't message you. I can't do anything. We're not connected. So if you ever see someone's profile where it just says follow, divert to the more button, and that'll allow you to connect. But it's pretty important because people who want to be followed are the influencers. They just want to build a big number. But we actually want to connect with people, so we have the ability to message them. If you're following me, you can't send me a message. So we're limiting options by not connecting. Okay. So yeah, so please connect with me. If not, I'll reach out to some of you that I can see here, and we can definitely maybe set something up in 2024. But I've been on LinkedIn since 2006. I've been talking about it every day since 2006. I was a title rep in San Diego for 13 years, right? And I taught every one of my clients how to use LinkedIn and became a top producer. Next thing you know, I'm now a LinkedIn trainer, right? Because I started showing more people how to do it because they kept asking me. I'm like, well, just go on LinkedIn and do this every day and do this, this, and this. So it's just been evolving. And Microsoft bought LinkedIn, so it's not going away. They spent, I think, $23 billion, or maybe but it was in the billions to buy the software and the platform. So if you can migrate to LinkedIn and just do a little bit, just start with your first degree connections and then your second degree connections. But there's probably a
So,
lot of us, myself included, that has 10,000 or 3,000 first degree connections that we don't even know. But the point is that someone decided it was a good idea to connect with each other, and we never did anything after that. So if you sort your filters and go back and say the following sentence, "Hi, Justin, it's Brian Traichel." He's going to say, "Who the heck are you?" Right? Well, Justin, we actually connected back in May of 2014. And I wanted to reach out because in 2024, I'm really taking my LinkedIn community more seriously. And I've made a concerted effort that I wanted to reach out to my current connections before I start adding more. And I see that we're both in Arizona and that we're in this industry. And I want to say hello and introduce myself. So
so
could we talk next week? Go ahead, Sherry.
does mobile and computer, because I obviously am doing my LinkedIn on mobile while I'm listening to you. And so I pulled up your profile and I followed you, and it doesn't say more, it's now pending. And then I went to the three buttons and it says I can send you a message, which I did on LinkedIn, but it doesn't give you a more button on the mobile app. So is the mobile app and the computer app different?
They're completely different, and the mobile app is just really good for quick checking your daily notifications and seeing what's happening in the feed. But actually doing business development, I swear by the desktop or the laptop because it's a
Okay.
completely different
And do you
platform.
swear by doing pro?
No, it depends on how much searching you're doing. You can get in as low as I think $39 a month. You don't have to get Sales Navigator. That's a different animal, and you have to relearn LinkedIn when you get Sales Navigator.
Okay.
So
So
I
I
would
just
say,
started
yeah,
using LinkedIn last year, and I actually have gotten a couple of pieces of business from it because people have gone and looked me up. But I think it's kind of boring, so I don't do it a lot. But it is interesting, and I wanted to learn more about it for next year. So thank you for what you did say, and now I'm going to go play with it on my laptop and see what I come up with. And thank
sure
you,
thing.
Justin, for doing this.
My pleasure.
The thing, yeah, and I know we're right at the hour, but LinkedIn, the thing about LinkedIn is it's a LinkedIn combo. We don't want to stay on LinkedIn. We want to go message, phone call, message, Zoom call. We don't want to spend a lot of time. We want to get off the platform as fast as possible. But this gives us really good insights and opportunities to reach out and have business conversations and not be salesy. So I
Okay, can I
appreciate
ask one
both.
more question? I think Jeff asked it when he said, "Can you get rid of realtors?" Because I have a lot of realtors on my LinkedIn because that's what I originally connected with for like open houses, etc. Can you get rid of realtors in your search?
I wouldn't because you're going to show up in their feeds. But you could just literally, as long as your connections are not exposed, it's not going to hurt you to have other realtors in your network. because it only expands your visibility. But if it's something that you say, I don't want anyone who's a realtor in my network, you'd have to manually go sort your first degree connections and remove all of them one
No,
at a
I
time.
meant if you went to search for people to solicit for real estate, can you isolate out realtors? Because obviously you're not going to sell them real estate.
Well, you could in premium, but the amount of time it would take to learn and sort on premium, you might as well
Not
just
worth
go
it.
through it. It's not worth it. Yeah, it's a clunky system, and the reason people don't use it a lot is because it's confusing. And they think we're going to make a mistake because it's overwhelming. So you really have to go in and be specific why you're in there. But I know we're over by 2, so
Okay, thank you.
so yeah, thanks everybody, for having me. We'll get the recording, and it's always great to work with this group. So thanks, Justin, and congratulations on your promotion as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And thank you, everyone. Thank you to Brian for dropping all those knowledge bombs on us. Just try to implement something new in your business. Maybe in 2024, it's LinkedIn, and you're going to double down on that and use it as prospecting. At least go in and optimize it and update your information. Because the SEO power, as we saw when we did the search earlier, Brian, is insane. It's typically in the top 3 of your profile showing up. A lot of times I say it's showing up before even your website. Which is pretty phenomenal. So leverage even the SEO power behind it. This is recorded. It will be on our YouTube channel that I threw in the chat box within 24 hours by tomorrow morning. I appreciate you all. I hope everyone has an amazing holiday season and a very happy new year. Can't wait to see you guys in escrow and in the next training very soon. So thank you, everyone. Have an amazing rest of the year. Thank you, Brian.
Take care, everybody. Thank you. My pleasure.